Well, this is the show where we highlight a lot of buzzing stocks. As we speak, the Nifty is recovering from the low point of the day. We're down only around 5 points odd. It has to be one of those big boys that have moved in there. HDFC Bank, that's the stock that was trading in the red. That's moved into the green. And when that moves, it helps the Nifty Bank to recover from the lows. And it also has taken the Nifty on the verge of moving into the green. Besides that, a couple of these two-wheeler names as well, like Bajaj Auto as well as Hero MotoCorp, both of them moving quite well. Hey, Mangalam, morning.
Morning, Nigel. You know, we are seeing a recovery from the lows. It's important because yesterday we saw a decline in the Nifty futures premium from around 40 points to 22 points. First tick in the morning, we saw the Nifty futures premium increase to about 32 points. So that was telling you that maybe there is perhaps some sort of purchase at lower levels, and that is reflected in the sort of recovery that we're seeing right now. So the Nifty futures plate should come up for you, and there you'll see perhaps that it's a 35 point premium, as against you have the premium of 22 points. So this is something we will keep an eye out on. Remember, over the last 3 trading sessions, we've recovered from the lows of 10,730 to 10,750. However, at the upper end, we have the 100-day moving average.
Okay, all right. Let's kickstart the show then with all the top stories. The Nifty is as flat as can be as we speak.
Absolutely. So the top stories we have, IndusInd Bank slips after surging in trade yesterday post the third quarter numbers. Brokerages see an increase in the fourth quarter provisioning. IDFC, while it maintains its outperform rating, cuts estimates by 15% for FY19 and increases it by 5.5% for FY20.
And Brent crude prices surge overnight to $61 per barrel. Oil marketing companies and aviation companies, they see some profit booking. They're under pressure.
Yes Bank, marginally in the green. Board finalizes names of potential candidates for the position of MD and CEO. Company says it will submit the board's decision to RBI today.
And the TCS stock is in focus today. They'll be reporting their third quarter numbers. The dollar revenue growth is seen rising 1.2%, and the constant currency growth is seen between 1.7% to 2%. The outlook on the quarter four margins, given the rupee appreciation, will be a key factor to watch. Okay, all right. Before we get a technical call on the Nifty, Maruti, they've gone ahead and increased prices by around 10,000 rupees from January 10th itself. That's from today. And on the back of that, we're seeing a bit of a bounce up in the stock. Remember the sales volumes numbers, the growth hasn't been as much. But you know, this is good news, 10,000 rupees. I'll be interested to know the factors behind this. Because, you know, if sales volumes are not being pushed through and yet you're pushing up prices after having commodity prices going low, I'm sure there'll be some reasoning as to why this 10,000 rupee price increase has come about. For the time being, the stock has recovered from the low point of the day.
Yep, it's an interesting move because remember the reasons that the management had given for lower volumes were the increased cost of acquisition for the vehicle. That was on account of increased insurance norms, increased fuel costs. So on the back of that, a price increase by about 10,000, like you said, would be very interesting to see how the street takes that. As of now, the stock price is recovering from consumers' point of view, whether they'll buy it 10,000 higher or not.
I think it's the backdated hike in commodity prices that were not passed on. That's what the management is saying.
Okay.
And the second factor I think they're mentioning is currency fluctuations. If I saw that second flash, that should come up for you, so they're saying the increase in commodity costs, that will be backdated because maybe they didn't pass it on at that point of time. The second factor is the currency move. That's what's led to this 10,000 rupee price increase. Buying a car?
I'm not buying a car, and if I am buying a car, then probably we'll have to look back because if the currency, if there has been a backdated hike because of commodity prices and currency increase, could there be a rollback because the commodity prices have cooled off and currency has strengthened from lower levels or not? Is something we'll watch out for.
That's quite a serious one from Mangalam there, but gifts are accepted for me, so in case...
I am not into giving such generous gifts, the likes of a car.
Okay, let's get a call on the Nifty. Whereas flat as can be, the Nifty has recovered 20 points from the low point of the day. HDFC Bank, that's the big one in there. That's recovered a goodish bit from the low point of the day. Ashwini Gujral joins in. Hi, Ashwini. What's the trade at around 10,855? Would you look to buy the Nifty, or do you think at some point of time you'll be looking to short it?
See, the interesting bit today is that, post the early morning decline on Nifty and Bank Nifty, both have found support. Nifty at about 10,850. That's a bit higher than 10,800, which is the official support. Similarly, on the Bank Nifty, we've held on to this 27,650 thereabouts. So, what's often happening is that if global markets are weaker, we are tending to move up, which is outperform. And if they are strong like yesterday, generally we are getting a bit jittery. So we were short, we've covered those shorts. Now the sense appears to be that with the large stocks moving back in terms of HDFC, etc. So chances are that we could have an attempt towards yesterday's high. So that way Nifty, Bank Nifty should be bought at this point. And the early morning short trade had a marginal loss. But it appears that the buying is returning towards the market. Having said that, individual stocks, Pidilite is a buy with a stop of 1100, target of 1145. LIC Housing is a sell with a stop of 480, target of 465. And Tata Steel is a sell with a stop of 482, target of 464.
Disclosures, Ashwini?
We had short positions which were covered, and now we are long on Bank Nifty.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining in and giving us your ideas. He was short earlier and now he's covered that position, gone long. With that, we keep an eye out on a couple of these mid-cap stocks. They're surging as we speak. We have Glenmark Pharma. Pidilite was one of Ashwini's called PVR. That one too is at the high point of the day. But the big talking point will be the GST Council meet set to begin, and we learn from sources that at its 32nd meeting, the Council will focus on revenue mobilization. Sources say the Council may actually consider a special report prepared by the group of ministers on mobilizing revenue. Tim C. Jaipuria here with all the details.
Well, a lot is on the plate of GST Council this time, starting with rate rationalization for under-construction houses from 12% to 5% without ITC, discussions on a relief package for MSMEs on the lines of recommendations made by the GOM, considering the proposal to increase GST registration threshold from current 20 lakh rupees to 75 lakh rupees, allowing composition scheme taxpayers to file annual returns with a quarterly payment of taxes, carving out a separate composition scheme for service providers with a threshold of up to 50 lakhs taxed at 5%. Also, the Council will do further deliberations on revenue mobilization measures to overcome revenue shortfall across India. That will be a report submitted by a GOM on revenue mobilization. Council will also consider the suggestions made by GOM on natural disaster cess as to whether to allow states to levy an additional 1% cess on selected items. Crucial here will be to see whether Kerala will be allowed to do so as a first case on the lines of the recommendations and how soon they will take it forward. The Council will also consider the long pending demand to bring in rates of state-run lotteries and private lotteries at par at 28%, which can actually mean an additional revenue of 1,250 crore rupees. Government is also likely to give its nod to the idea to match RFID data by engaging with NHAI to have better enforcement under the e-Wibble system. Let's see what happens finally and whether, like many instances in the past, there are some additional agenda items too which get circulated to the Council at the last moment. We'll keep you getting the live action.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, MC. Well, on that note, let's hear out Thomas Isaac, the Kerala Finance Minister, what he had to say ahead of the GST meet.
We'll be seriously debating many of the proposals here. Some of them are definitely welcome, like increasing the composition level of the small MSME sector. They are all welcome. But there are many others which are not so. Particularly the attempt to reverse the tax structure in the lottery, to give free license to lottery mafia to enter states on an equal par with the state-run lotteries is totally unacceptable. We do not understand what has happened between the last 1.5 years. For government, if they have changed this policy, they adopted and accepted. And therefore, Kerala is seeking the support of other states to defeat this bill in the council.
So will the home buyers get some relief today? There is a talk of 5% without ITC.
So let us discuss that. Let's discuss that.
Sir, you are saying that the decision are taking is motivated with election.
Yes. See, so many important decisions are just being rushed through on the eve of the election. It's all for election optics, most of them, without serious consideration to the architecture of GST or even the revenue implications.
All right, let's move on to a CNBC TV18 exclusive now. We learn from sources that the ArcelorMittal Royal partners have bid for SR Group's EPC construction business. Ritu Singh joins us with all the details. Ritu.
Well, Manglam, after SRC, it looks like ArcelorMittal has set its eyes on another SR Group company, and that is EPC Constructions, which was formerly known as SR Projects. Now, sources have told us that the lenders to EPC Constructions will be holding a meeting today to vote on the two bids that have been received in round two. These two bids are from ArcelorMittal and RPMG investment-owned Royal Partners, which is, a Dubai-based company. These are the two bidders. In the earlier round, do you remember the bid by ArcelorMittal was deemed too low, with which involved a recovery of less than 10%, and therefore the lenders had rejected that and called for a second round of bids, for which the deadline ended on the 31st of December. The COC, therefore, will now meet today to examine these bids and potentially vote on the highest offer. Now, sources have also confirmed to us that ArcelorMittal's offer includes 402 crore rupees of upfront cash payment to lenders and an overall offer of 2,000 crores, which also includes about 1,000 crores of equity infusion in the company. But as compared to this, Royal Partners' offer includes 420 crores of upfront cash payment to lenders and 480 crore rupees as NCDs with an 8% coupon rate. RBSA also, we understand, has been appointed as the advisor in this deal. Do remember, EPC Construction has a debt of about 7,200 crore rupees, and therefore with the current offer also, it seems that banks will have to digest an 85% haircut. It's fairly steep. It will come as a hit. IDBI Bank, UCO Bank, Union Bank, ICICI Bank. These are some of the large lenders. We reached out to both the partners, involved in this deal. ArcelorMittal declined to comment on the story, and Royal Partners has confirmed to CNBC TV18 that it did submit a bid to acquire EPC Constructions under the IDC.
Okay, all right, Ritu. Thanks so much for that. Well, just keep an eye out on the markets, but also keep an eye out on the Indian rupee. I think it had shown some strength. Remember, the dollar index itself had cooled off from around that 96 odd mark to around 95.15 odd. And the Indian rupee, after opening up at some strength, has quickly moved to the low point of the day. So just keep an eye out on the rupee as well. For the time being, we slip into a short break. You come back, we'll get chatting with the management of TTK Prestige. Remember, the stock is on our radar as the company has been named as one of CLSA's top mid-cap bets.